It's okay to like bad Pokemon. And yes, there are bad Pokemon. Yes, I don't care what you say. Not this, oh, I'm friends with my Pokemon, so they're all good nonsense. Listen, I'm a Maractus enjoyer. I love Maractus. I think Maractus is great. But even I understand that Maractus, it's not good. It's not good. It's not a good Pokemon. It's not a good Pokemon to use in battle. But I just love his vibes. And sometimes that's all you really need. It's not good in battle, and it's okay to like bad things. But why would pro players use bad Pokemon? That's what we're going to find out today. Now, I actually did meet Moxie in real life. Absolutely lovely fella. Really, really, really nice guy. And if you're at all interested in competitive Pokemon, first off, you should subscribe to Moxie's main channel. But secondly, they also have a second channel on the go where they upload regular videos all about competitive, just seeing what's going on using different sets. So you should definitely take a look at that. Anyway, why do pro players use bad Pokemon?
Pokemon are an interesting topic when it comes to competitive Pokemon. It seems as though people believe that legendary Pokemon ruin any sort of competitive integrity that the game may have.
Not true, because legendary, as we all know, legendary doesn't mean good. You're gonna tell me that Garchomp is inferior to, what, Regice? Or Fione? Or Type Null? Just because something's legendary doesn't mean it's good. I always get those comments like, ooh, you use legendary Pokemon, ooh, this makes it so easy. Like, come on, man, I'm playing Radical Red. This game is hard as dick. You're supposed to use, what, Forest in this? Look, I love Forest. It's one of my favorite of all time. But I'm not going to beat Radical Red with Forest, am I? I'm not going to, it's just not going to bloody happen, is it?
People will comment that VGC is ruined by the presence of legendaries like Landorus, Ogerpon, Tornadus, etc. And things would be much better if they were just outright banned.
Sure, I mean, they're strong, but if you ban the really strong ones, they simply get replaced with other Pokemon that then dominate the meta. The only way to truly make everything balanced would be to raise the power of every weak Pokemon. And if you raise the power of every weak Pokemon, that kind of defeats the point of Pokemon in general. Because the idea is not that everything is balanced. The idea is it reflects the real world. A cheetah is not getting owned by a badger. Well, actually, I don't know. It might. There's a chance. Like, a lion will not get beaten up by a chihuahua, will it? I mean, it would be really cool if it did, actually.
That's sort of a topic for another day, but the sentiment of casual players not liking legendary Pokemon is fairly well documented. Just go check Twitter. One can...
No, please, Moxie, don't. No, don't make me check it. I don't want to go back. Come on, there's so much enough. There's no happiness. Why is everyone so freaking negative all the time?
I can only imagine that restricted legends would only make the game more centralizing and lead to every team looking alike. Well,
sure, but so would every other meta, right? I mean, the meta is the meta because it's good. You can have a healthy meta that has a lot of different options, but at the end of the day, good Pokemon are always going to be good. And then you can have the counter meta that is specifically built to counter the good Pokemon. And that's how it usually is. That's how it is for all these deck building games or team building games. There's always a meta and there's always a counter meta.
Well, that isn't necessarily the case. As a matter of fact, the presence of legendary restricted Pokemon not only can lead to more interesting team archetypes, but it even leads to low-tier Pokemon finding a niche in the game by beating those very legendaries.
True. Well, wait, why is Riolu in front of Dialga? How does Riolu beat Dialga?
I may not be the biggest fan of restricted formats. I think this is a pretty interesting topic, and I want to share it with you all today.
No, I love it when Primal Groudon uses Precipice Blades. It's my favorite. I love it in VGC, World Championships. I want to see Groudon use Precipice Blades again.
So today, let's discuss low tiers that beat legendaries.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this video at any point in time, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because I make tons of competitive Pokemon content. As a matter of fact, you should just subscribe right now because I have a playlist full of content just like this that I know you'll enjoy once this video ends.
Well, I've already subscribed and I've already hit that like button and I've already checked out the other videos, but you maybe haven't and you should.
And if you think you're subscribed, do me a favor and double check because only like half of my viewers actually are.
No, I'm
like
definitely
I said,
subscribed.
Legendary Pokemon are pretty interesting in a competitive context. These behemoths have base stats well above 600 and their presence can lead to top tier Pokemon getting pushed out of relevancy.
And Zacian basically has higher than 660 base stat because it gets a attack boost as soon as it comes into battle for the first time too.
Tyranitar is a prime example of this. While Tyranitar has some massive stats, great moves, and an ability which sets up sand whenever it hits the field, as soon as legendary Pokemon become legal, its usage falls off a cliff. Groudon and Kyogre are not only competition as weather setters, but both of them have a good type advantage over Tyranitar, meaning it can easily get one-shot by either one of them. Frankly, I don't care if you can kick up a sandstorm, just go kick rocks, Tyranitar. Meanwhile, the existence of...
It's kind of mean, but it also is true. Tyranitar has about 7,000 weaknesses, but it is still good. That means just because you have a lot of weaknesses doesn't mean that you can't be good in the competitive format. Just don't walk into a dark alley with Groudon and Kyogre. It's pretty simple.
Of Kyogre almost always leads to a rise in usage of Shedinja. Now, Shedinja only gets used in 2 contexts in competitive Pokemon. The first one is on low ladder by those people in the comments that feel the need to let everyone know that Terra Electric Air Balloon Shedinja is unkillable.
Wow, it's so good. I don't know why every competitive player doesn't use Terra Electric Air Balloon Shedinja because it's so good.
I wonder if there's a reason why no one uses it. I wonder if it's not consistently good.
Even though everyone knows that, Daniel, you're not...
Whoa! Hey, that's not... Sorry, that's my name.
Cool. It loses to Sand.
I didn't say that, though. Moxie, I didn't say... We had a nice conversation in London. I can't believe I've been betrayed like this.
Or any status move or timer, even. And the other one is people who actually know what they're doing and want to use it to wall out Kyogre. You see, Shedinja is a gimmick Pokemon. How so? Well, it only has 1 HP, meaning any single attack will always one-shot it. But its ability Wonder Guard makes it immune to any damaging attack that isn't super effective. As a bug ghost type, it's weak to fire, flying, rock, dark, and ghost type attacks.
Okay, so that's a solid amount. That's over a quarter of the potential types. It's also dying immediately to pretty much any status. It dies on entry if you have Stealth Rock set up. It dies if you use any weather like sand. It dies if you have Aftermath or Innards Out.
So if you don't have any one of those, Shedinja just kinda wins. While Kyogre is the example I used for a Pokemon which gets walled by Shedinja, the list of legendary Pokemon which effectively get walled by it is actually pretty impressive.
Miraidon.
This includes Kyogre, Zacian, Calyrex Ice, Dialga, Miraidon, and Zamazenta.
I was right, it was Miraidon.
The others will either commonly use moves which are super effective or can bypass Wonder Guard like Solgaleo with Sunsteel Strike or Zekrom with its ability.
I didn't even think that as an option to take out Shedinja, but also in restricted formats, if you're using Shedinja, you're just really hoping that your opponent has a Kyogre, and that's it. Also, this doesn't take into account the other Pokemon on the other side of the field or the other Pokemon that they might have in the back that might be able to just one-shot it anyway.
Notably, this list of Pokemon which get walled include many top-tier restricted legends, so players can focus their team around beating specific partner Pokemon of those legendary Pokemon to reach a board state where Shedinja is effectively unkillable, allowing for Shedinja to Will-O-Wisp them and stall them out for the remainder of the match to win. But Shedinja...
Man, that sounds like such a dog way to play, though. And I'm not talking about the Zamazenta hold for applause. Thank you so much. Doesn't really sound fun to play like that, does it? I mean, it sounds like an interesting gimmick, like, ooh, I won with Shedinja. Isn't that funny? But then as soon as people know that you're using Shedinja, they're just going to add Ember to their movesets.
Shedinja isn't just dead weight until its counters are gone, because for some reason, Game Freak thought it'd be a good idea to give it Ally Switch. Ally Switch is just about the most hated move in competitive Pokemon.
Oh, that's gross.
It simply just makes the user switch places with a partner on the board. As Shedinja is immune to most moves, it can use Ally Switch to protect a partner from all damage, making the process of beating Shedinja teams one of the most annoying and nerve-wracking things you might need to do in a tournament.
Well, that's so annoying. Okay, is anyone actually bringing Shedinja to tournaments, though? I need to see the usage on this.
He's just a little guy. Ditto.
He's a little guy, but he's also dead.
Ditto is yet another little guy, which finds a niche in restricted formats.
Now, Ditto's a nice one to use. Using Imposter to just copy your opponents, because then you can get 2 legendaries. Except with 2 Pokemon on the side of the field, I actually don't know how this interaction works. It copies the Pokemon in front of it, right? So you need to kind of finagle your way into a position where you can get it there, and you can steal the opponent's legendary. Cool, you have 2 legendaries, you have 2 restricted Pokemon at that point, but it also seems like really awkward to be able to get yourself in that position to begin with.
With some pretty abysmal stats, it's a wonder why it could be any use in a format with legendary Pokemon. So, what does Ditto do well in a restricted format? What on earth could a Pokemon that turns into other Pokemon do when there are so many legendary Pokemon getting used?
No, I'm sorry, are you like hinting at something? It's just like, I have no idea. Do you know what he's talking about? No? Do you know what he's talking about? Hold on. Yeah, you. Yeah, this one. You know what he's talking about? No, I didn't think so. This is a tough one, actually.
It's okay. I'll give you a minute to think about it.
Okay, well, you have a minute. Like, you think about it a little bit more if you wanted to. No? Why do you look at me like that all the time? Jesus Christ, what's wrong with this guy?
Okay, so what could be worse than a giant paint bubble? Oh, I know. 2 giant paint bubbles.
No!
Ditto obviously is able to turn into the opponent's legendary Pokemon by switching in against it with its ability Imposter. It will typically run the Choice Scarf item, allowing for it to not only copy the legendary Pokemon on switch-in, but outspeed it and KO it.
You want to know the real strat? Bring a Ditto to counter other people's Ditto, so when they switch in their Ditto, you switch in your Ditto, so they have 2 Dittos in the field. Now it's 2 Dittos in the field, and they can't transform.
One of the more notable uses for Ditto was switching in against a Xerneas which had already used Geomancy, so that Ditto would be able to reverse sweep the opponent. It was able to do a similar thing with Zacian Crown. Because Zacian Crown has the ability Intrepid Sword, upon switching in, it gains +1 attack. When Ditto copies Zacian, it not only copies Zacian's attack boost, but then copies its ability, granting it a 2nd attack boost.
Okay, that's smart though. That is pretty smart.
Making Ditto just a straight up better Zacian if it can get on the field safely. Unfortunately though, Ditto is a pretty uncommon pick in restricted formats despite having this niche. Don't get me wrong, its usage spikes whenever restricted Pokemon are around. But
I feel like it's very easy to just kill off this Ditto, though. It's very easy for things to go wrong with this Ditto.
It's more like it goes from not being used at all to being a really annoying off-meta Pokemon. Gastrodon, while not being a bad Pokemon typically, tends to see a major spike in usage whenever restricteds are legal.
Really? Because I love Gastrodon. Oh my god, that actually makes me so happy. Gastrodon love going up. Gastrodon stocks going up. You should invest in Gastrodon.
The most obvious application is it abusing its ability of Storm Drain to wall out Kyogre.
Okay.
Storm Drain allows for Gastrodon to be immune to all water type attacks and grants it a boost in special attack if one gets used against it.
This does factor in the fact that you have to have a Kyogre on the other side of the field. And with all the legendaries that you could choose from, I know that Kyogre is simply one of the best. I mean, you bring in the Rain. In 2016, you could use Primal Kyogre with the Rain, with Water Spout. I mean, that's ludicrous. Obviously, we know that that's ludicrous. But if there's no Kyogre on the other side of the field, it's just a bit pointless. There's not that many Water-type legendaries that are really up there that people might be using over Miraidon and Zacian and all those little guys.
This ability
Big
also
guys.
redirects all water moves into Gastrodon, meaning that it's a phenomenal partner for Groudon. But Gastrodon's applications don't end there. Its great bulk, typing, and access to Yawn allows for Gastrodon to be a fairly safe pick into most teams.
I love how it says great bulk and I'm looking at 68 defense. Damn, I thought Gastrodon's defense was way better than that.
Yawn is an excellent pressure tool as it can stop sweeps altogether. By making the Pokemon drowsy on turn 1 and then fall asleep on turn 2, it can force the opponent to swap out a Pokemon before it can get the ball rolling. Beyond that, Stab on Earth Power is also pretty great for threatening Zacian, as it can hit it for super effective damage, and even the strongest Zacian struggle to pick up a KO against Gastrodon with Play Rough.
Oh my god, Terra Zacian is going to be a nightmare to deal with. Oh no, I'm thinking about all the possible terrassalizations now. You could do terrassalized Kyogre with Choice Specs, Water Spout. Ooh, that sounds horrible.
Bronzong tends to be a very overshadowed Pokemon in competitive, even as a levitating Steel type. It's just that in most situations you would much rather have a bulkier Pokemon like Roselia or a more offensive Trick Roomer like Hatterene. This changes once the likes of Groudon and Xerneas become legal. Bronzong's ability allows for it to be completely immune to all ground-type moves, walling out Groudon if it's not running Fire Punch.
Ah, and yes, Xerneas' Earthquake will be completely shut down.
But even then, pairing it with Kyogre will allow for Bronzong to take less damage from fire moves with Rain active. But the main reason Bronzong sees heavier usage in restricted formats is its great matchup into Xerneas. Xerneas is by far the scariest sweeper in restricted formats due to Geomancy boosting its special attack, special defense, and speed by 2 stages.
Which is completely balanced, by the way, which is completely fair, and nothing's wrong with it. And when they made that in Game Freak and they had the meeting, they said, oh yes, let's just double its special attack and speed and special defense. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's no problems with that. Oh, Power Hub? Yeah, no, you can have Power Hub. Hey, Velto? I don't know what that is, I'm sorry.
Bronzong is not only able to resist the +2 Moonblast and set up Trick Room in front of Xerneas, but deal massive damage to it with Gyro Ball. Since Xerneas is at +2 speed, it pretty much is always going to be taking a full power Gyro Ball, which deals more damage the faster the opponent is than the user, which in this case is a whopping 150 base power.
Pretty respectable.
If that Xerneas is chipped at all, that Gyro Ball will threaten a KO. But while Bronzong is a pretty scary matchup for Groudon and Xerneas, it can actually be an ally for them as well. Bronzong can sometimes run the move Gravity. This move increases the accuracy of all moves for a few turns while grounding all Pokemon.
Oh, and of course, as we know, Precipice Blade can miss and also doesn't hit flying types. I thought it did hit flying types for some reason. I think that's Zygarde move, though. Is Zygarde going to be used at all? Have we done anything with Zygarde yet? I know Legend Zarzard's coming out soon, but can Zygarde get like a little bit of usage? That'd be fun.
This makes it so Groudon's Precipice Blades cannot miss and now can hit levitating or flying type Pokemon. Raichu is a fan favorite Pokemon. I mean, Pikachu gets shoved down everyone's throats in the marketing, so Raichu sort of flies under the radar a bit. It's just...
Wait, was Kerner and Game Freak just being self-aware with how much they promote Pikachu?
It's a mid-tier in regular play, despite it having some desirable traits. It has access to Fake Out, a pretty high speed tier at 110,
And Nuzzle.
the ability Lightning Rod, which redirects
Damn it. I really thought Nuzzle was going to be on this.
electric attacks into it and grants it a special attack boost rather than taking damage. These traits just aren't enough to lift it out of mediocrity though, unless Kyogre is legal of course. As a pure water type, Kyogre is weak to electric attacks from the likes of Regieleki, Tapu Koko, and opposing Kyogre's Thunder. By having the Raichu able to hit the field at any time, Raichu not only defends Kyogre from electric moves by switching in,
And has Fake Out. And it can use Thunder, too. I mean, it'll make it a little bit stronger, I suppose. Why not just Pikachu? What does Pikachu do in this
but it
situation?
can even scare the opponent into just not clicking electric moves at all, in fear of wasting a turn and giving that Raichu a boost in power.
And then Regieleki becomes completely useless because all Regieleki do is click electric type move. It doesn't even know how to do anything different.
But Raichu has a few other tools under its belt. The move Nuzzle is a pretty low power attack.
Oh, it is there. That was right.
Always result in a paralyzed target. This allows for Raichu to provide some speed control support for teammates, which can be essential for Kyogre to outspeed the likes of Zacian or Calyrex Shadow if it no longer has access to Tailwind late in the match. Speaking of Calyrex Shadow, it actually led to a pretty forgotten Pokemon to finally have a niche in competitive play.
Maractus?
Calyrex Shadow is, to put it frankly, the most broken Pokemon ever added to the game.
What? No, it's just a guy on a
With
horse.
150 speed,
Oh, that's... Oh,
special attack,
wow.
good bulk, a perfectly accurate ghost move which hits both opponents, and an ability which boosts its special attack with every KO.
All right, that's a big one. Yeah, okay. I think it's called like Shadow Nay or something like that.
It's pretty obviously too strong. That being said, as a ghost psychic type, it has a very exploitable
Sucker Punch.
Steal. The dark type absolutely ruins this Pokemon. And what dark type is more ubiquitous than Incineroar? With access to Fake Out, Snarl, and Knockoff, Incineroar can very easily annihilate a Calyrex Shadow.
Does Incineroar not have access to Sucker Punch?
Mienshao, however, manages to finally carve out a niche as effectively Calyrex Shadow's bodyguard. Its ability Inner Focus not only prevents it from flinching, but as of Generation 8, it also grants it an immunity to Intimidate.
Oh, okay.
So Calyrex Shadow players can lead off with Calyrex and Mienshao to heavily
Mr.
limit the
President,
counter-
get down!
If the opponent leads off with Incineroar, Mienshao can immediately click High Jump Kick into it and one-shot it since it never got the Intimidate drop. But even if the opponent has a way around this, like clicking Follow Me and Snarl, Mienshao can call this out and use Wide Guard to prevent Calyrex from being hit by the Snarl.
Okay, that's actually really fun. I've never seen Mienshao be properly used
Wide
before.
Guard is not only good for preventing Snarl, but it can even be used to hardwall out Choice Lock restricted Pokemon like opposing Specs Calyrex Shadow or Choice Scarf Kyogre with Water Spout. And a more niche but cool option for Mienshao is to run the move Feint, to break Protect and allow for Calyrex Shadow to get KOs against Pokemon attempting to Protect on that turn.
Does Feint do enough damage to actually make it worthwhile, though? I guess it stops you from using Protect, and that's the main thing that it does. If you use Feint on a Protect, it like breaks the Protect, and you can attack it with someone else.
Now that I'm done hyping up this thing, I think I've earned the right to finally ask this question.
Okay.
What are those things on Mienshao? Why does it...
It's sleeves, right? I'm pretty sure they're sleeves. They're supposed to be sleeves. Like, it's wearing like a really long hoodie.
look like that? Why is it so floppy? Okay, is it all right? I just need answers. Like, legitimately, I don't know what those are.
I think it's sleeves.
At the moment, we're just heading into another restricted format. In fact, the 2024 World Championships will be a restricted format event. So we've yet to see just what low tiers will pop up to beat the likes of Miraidon, Koraidon, and Terrapagos. So I want to dedicate this section of the video to toss out a few ideas and see how well they age.
Okay, Maractus, please. Maractus is not in the game. They didn't put Maractus in Scarlet and Violet because they were scared. They were scared of what it could do. It's the perfect counter to Miraidon.
That Zacian, despite its nerfs in Generation 9, will still see heavy usage. As a result, we can expect a niche for Unaware Pokemon with a good type matchup into it to be pretty valuable. Unaware is an ability which causes...
Oh, I hope Skeledirge can do something. I love Skeledirge. I really hope it does something in this.
User to ignore all stat changes from the Pokemon attacking them.
If someone goes to Worlds with a Skeledirge team, it's going to make me the happiest boy.
So Zacian can be at +3 attack and deal the same amount of damage it would to Dondozo that it would have at neutral, which is not very much. The same can be said for Skeledirge, who not only ignores Zacian's stat boost, but can even wall out Zacian's common moves by resisting Behemoth Blade, Play Rough, and being immune to Sacred Sword. This one is a little bit of cope, but we might even see some usage for Clodsire, as it has similar traits to Gastrodon, with access to Ground Stab and Yawn, just with Unaware instead of a Water immunity. But with Water Absorb...
I was going to say, he does have Water Absorb as well, so you could choose between the two. Actually, but there's open team sheets, so you know which ability is being used by your opposing Clodsire, right?
That is an option too. This might shock singles players, but Iron Valiant is actually a low tier in VGC. This is because it's just completely outclassed by Fluttermane, who it loses to outright.
Fluttermane. There he is. There's the boy, Fluttermane.
But with the introduction of Miraidon to competitive, Electric Terrain will be active much more often, allowing for Iron Valiant to get a speed boost via Quark Drive and support the team with Wide Guard and deal massive damage with Moonblast or Close Combat. Funny enough, it does lose an option in Hypnosis. Fast Hypnosis would be a pretty scary thing to throw out there, but with...
Oh, but you can't because the Electric Terrain, of course. Would you run Hypnosis? It's too much of a risk, isn't it? 40% chance to miss? I don't know. I don't know if I'd risk that. I'm feeling a little bit scared. Maybe I'm not brave enough. Am I just not enough of a man to do it? Or, sorry, no, I guess it's not the correct way to say it. Am I just not brave enough? I don't have enough courage within my soul? Those that take the greatest risks are the best. Quote, me.
With Electric Terrain, it prevents sleep outright anyways. And my final take is that Wo-Chen could finally see some increased usage.
Oh no.
Tablets of Ruin not only allow it to reduce the damage of all physical attacks, allowing for Pokemon like Kyogre, Calyrex Shadow, and Miraidon to deal with physical restricteds like Calyrex Ice Rider and Groudon better, but its dark typing is quite valuable. It's able to switch in on Calyrex Shadow Rider comfortably and spam Snarl to reduce damage from it and other special attackers. The grass typing also allows for it to switch in on Miraidon's Electro Drift or Kyogre's Water Spout. But this one...
But it better watch out for Venomoth Bug Buzz. Yeah, Venomoth's gonna come knocking on this thing's door in a second.
It's probably just more cope. So, I don't know. Just let me have this, please.
Okay,
Those
that's
are
fine.
low-tier Pokemon which beat legendary Pokemon. Not only do they find niches in restricted formats, but they thrive in an environment full of legendaries, despite being awful in lower power formats which precede them. Did I miss any Pokemon, though? Let me know in the comment section down.
Yeah, I need to hear about Maractus. I really do. Also, there's the Patreons. The freaking Patreons. Oh my goodness. Let's have a look at the comments, because the comments are always funny on these types of videos. It's because strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon. That is only the selfish perception of people. Truly skilled trainers know that all Pokemon are bad. I mean, that's true. Thank you, Karen. That's very helpful of you to say. I really appreciate that. Shedinja on his way to wall out Kyogre for the 15th time every single restricted format. LeBron James reportedly locked Kyogre into Choice Spec's worst power in front of a Gastrodon. I use bad Pokemon because I can't keep making a new Incineroar sets. Mienshao's dangly bits in the arms are likely long tufts of fur. Yeah, sleeves. There you go. I remember because that's what a lot of martial artists use. They use these sleeves. Pokemon is unviable unless Kyogre is around. That's true. But Kyogre is so good, though. Insert funny Elite Four quote. Exactly. Moxie Boosted implies the existence of Chilling Nay Boosted and Grim Nay Boosted. All right. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that was a great video. You should definitely be subscribed to Moxie if you're not already. Go ahead. The link's in the description, as per usual. And if you want to see more of my dumb face, well, you can always subscribe here as well.